For me, and before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to.
Hello, my name is Ella McCall Hagan, and I'm a native Washingtonian. I'm a licensed independent clinical social worker. I have an organization called From Streets to Skills, Social Services on Wheels. I'm also co-director of the regional chapter of the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute for Self-Development and Pathways to Freedom, the youth organization. I'm here today at the Thurgood Marshall Center Trust to share with you an exhibition about the life of Rosa Louise Parks. The exhibit is called Rosa Parks Beyond the Bus. This exhibit is a personal collection that snapshots and pictures that I have collected since 1990. And you will see her in her later years from the age of 77 to almost 92. I met Miss Rosa Parks in 1990. I first met her and Miss Steele. Miss Steele is the woman who, her co-director, who was with her for over 47 years, the young woman that she called her, she was like a daughter to her, but she was her assistant and everything, traveled with her and everything, and like I said, co-founder of the Institute. And I met them there. Now, the birthday party was at the Kennedy Center. It was huge. It's the first black person that ever had a celebrity birthday party there. So she was the first. And there was stars from all over. Now, I was asked to work on the hostess committee. They assigned me to Rosa Parks and Mrs. Elaine Easton Steele. And that's how I met her. I tried to help her in any way that I could that weekend and what they needed, and you know. And the day after the party, they had Dr. Tucker had a reception. So I bought them some cookies. My daughter is a baker, and she had an entrepreneur organization, and she was baking cookies, and they're beautiful package. So I said, make Miss Parks some cookies for me, and Miss Steele. So she made a beautiful basket of cookies, and for them to take back with them. So lo and behold, about 2 days after they got back to Detroit, the phone rang. And I said, hello? She said, Ella? I said, yes. She said, this is Rosa Parks. And I said, I thought it was one of my girlfriends, because I have some crazy girlfriends. I said, girl, who is this? I said, girl, why don't you stop? I said, get off the phone. And she said, no, it's Miss Parks, Ella. It's Rosa Parks. And I said, yes, ma'am. And then Miss Steele got on the phone and said, yes, this is us. She said, do you have any more of those cookies? I said, well, when you come back, I'll have some for you. That's how it started. And it went on for, it was 26 years. I was with her for 15 of her life. Okay, I started, like I said, the pictures go back to 1990, because that weekend that she was here, I took pictures and for my scrapbook. And then in 1994, she asked a group of us to form a chapter, Rosa Parks Pathways to Freedom chapter here in DC. And so a group of us who work with kids who had our own organizations, we did that. And when she would come, but see, when they would travel, they would come and pick up the kids here, or we would send the kids to Detroit. And when she came here, we had seminars. So I take the pictures of seminars. I had professionals to come out and take pictures for me, for my scrapbook, you know. And so that's how it got started. My friends were saying, why don't you have an exhibit? I said, but what? I said, some of them are professional. I said, but I've taken some of them, and different people. And they said, well, you should do it. So I stepped out on faith with no money. We were all volunteers. We've been volunteering forever, and which is fine with me. I'm glad. I wish I could do more. The Institute, we need money, but we volunteer. And so anyway, I was convinced by my girlfriend who worked for the library and then the librarian from the Martin Luther King Library. She saw the snapshots and she begged me, let us give a tribute to Mrs. Rosa Parks. That was the first time, that was 2008 at the Martin Luther King Library. They kept the collection for a month. Mm-hmm. Awesome. And I unveiled the quilt. They didn't keep the quilt, but I unveiled the Rosa Parks peace quilt.
Oh, freedom.
This quilt was started, it was the creation of the youth in Pathways to Freedom and myself. What we were trying to do, the kids were drawing and we wanted to do pictures. We were trying to make a quilt of our own. But there is a lady, she's an international award-winning quilt maker named Jerry Ford. After looking at the stuff that we had, she said, oh no, she said the pictures are fine because we picked the pictures out. She said, but I think it needs a little more. So she finished the quilt. And this is a masterpiece. She did a masterpiece. And her work, she gave it to us. She said, from one seamstress to another, because Mrs. Parks was a seamstress. So this is called the Rosa Parks Peace Quilt. When she met Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela.
She was he came to Detroit in 1990. And I guess the dignitaries was meeting him at the airport. Her friend, Judge David Keefe, called her and said, Rosa, I'm getting ready to go to the airport to meet Mr. Mandela. Are you coming? She said, I wasn't invited. They didn't invite her. How could they not invite the mother of the Civil Rights Movement to meet this man? He said, well, I'm coming to get you. He took her to the airport with her assistant, Miss Steele, and also one of her she had young teachers, mentors, young man that was one of her good counselors. He went with them. And when she got there, nobody opened the way or tried to recognize her, said, come here, and blah, blah, blah. So what he did, he eased her, he kept pulling her to the front, excuse me, that kind of thing. So when she finally got to the front and met Nelson Mandela and Winnie landed, when he stepped off the plane, the first thing he saw was Miss Parks. And he said, Rosa Parks, Rosa Parks, I love you. I thought so many times about you. You're so courageous. And he said, while I was in jail, I thought about you so much. And you helped me through the years that I had to spend for your courage. Rosa Parks. So after that, she was with him most of the time. Wherever he had to speak, they wanted her there then. So it's just pains me for some reason. I don't know why. I don't even know why I got it in the collection, but I needed it. I think about her. That's what an effective person she was, that people loved her. She was a good, humble woman. And this man could see some of the things that he did was because of her. 1955, December 1st, 1955. I'm not giving up her seat. She defied, that Jim Crow. She defied Jim Crow. So that's my upsetting picture. Always have to be one. I'm trying to teach the Rosa Parks philosophy, and I want the children to know who they are. I want the children to know how great they are. It doesn't matter of their skin color, and because of who they are, because they're laughed at and talked about. I want them to be strong. And And with her philosophy, she said that everybody should be free, that nobody should be a slave or discriminated against the color of their skin or who they are or their religion or anything like. She said that she wanted people to be free, but she wanted children to work together, to be leaders, to just do things together, no bullying and no fighting, nonviolence, all of that she did not want. And so I'm just following her legacy. This is, I call Rosa Parks Beyond the Bus, the second legacy. The life that she led when she was 77 and 80s and early 90s, you know, that she continued to lead, to work with children, to work with the community, to do all different kinds of things to help her community. And I would be remiss if I did not give Congressman John Conyers a plug. He was the only one in Detroit that gave her a job. He gave her a job, and she was, I call her a glorified social worker because she found housing for the poor and for the homeless, and she worked with the communities, the mothers. She did all that while in his office. And he said it was a pleasure. She said it was a pleasure for her to work there, but he said it was a pleasure to have her there because everybody would come to try to see Rosa Parks. So these are just things that we talked about and I learned from her, but I try to have the philosophy and I want to share with people. I know I was selfish, but keeping my own personal album, but now that I'm sharing with people, people are coming in and they're talking and they're dialoguing and the teachers have brought in the children and it's just been great for me. So I just thank Thurgood Marshall Trust Center for allowing us to have the exhibit here.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. Over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my own grave and go home to my Lord and be free. No more weeping, don't you know? No more weeping. No more weeping over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my own grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
Oh, freedom.
Oh, freedom.
Oh, freedom.
Oh, freedom.
Oh, freedom.
Oh, freedom over me.
And
Before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave
and go
home to my Lord
and be
free.
and
And before